3. Countdown from 3, and we'll be recording. Go.
3, 2, 1.
It's already been recording. I got you.
Love it.
Good morning, Mr. Trembler.
How are you?
I'm doing really well. I've had a great morning. 3:45 a.m. airport ride. I was an Uber driver that didn't get paid, and I actually had to pay for it with gas and tolls. So people help.
Nice. Yeah.
My highlight though is I get to speak with you this morning, and we get to introduce. By the way, we have 1.9 million viewers right now, and hoping after today we can slightly increase that to 6 million. So not a lot of pressure. Just we want 4.1 million viewers after this. So
let's go. Let's get it.
Let's make it great. I feel like we should change something about. What do you think? How do we look?
I was thinking. I'm looking at. Thinking about the legend, and we should probably unbutton a couple.
A couple?
Yeah. Well, let's do one. Let's do one.
Okay.
No one is the legend, so.
Yeah. We good?
Good. Yeah.
Okay.
Good.
I was gonna go no jacket, but then you said you look like a hobo, John. You should put on something nice, and I did. So thank you for the tip. It's such a comforting way of doing that.
It's a business call. So
far so good. No going back from here.
Do you think we got 1 million viewers so far?
We might have dropped a few, but I think we've added a couple. It's like sidestep to 4 steps forward. Just so everybody knows, before the call, I said, Ryan, let's make this great. And just so you know, I love you. And Ryan, with a dead straight face, goes, that's great to hear. Dead straight. Wasn't the response I was looking for, but all right. Mr. Trembler, let's hear a little bit about you. Give us some info. What's up in the RT world?
So currently, I'm the division manager in the Northern New England division. I live 10 miles north of Boston with 2 little girls.
That's wicked.
3.5 and 6. Hadley and Harper, married. I think it's 13 years, but it's going well. So it feels like it's only been a year. So that's why I can't keep track. So I can't keep track.
You fell off the rails there with, I think, and then you came back with it feels like it's a year. That's why I don't know. I'm not keeping track. That's great.
I like that. I'm going to remember that. Cutco background started in 1993 in Mr. John Kane's office. Mr. John Kane ran my interview, my training, delegated me to an assistant until I made some sales, and then came right back and I ended up being his assistant, sales manager. We ended up being roommates when he became SPM, all that stuff. So John Kane is where I got my start.
Interesting. That's great.
Yeah. And then district manager for 4 years in the Philadelphia area with Mr. Earl Kelly, and division manager starting in 2001. And I've been here ever since.
Wow. So you're 2001 division manager?
Division coordinator, 2001.
Okay. So 18 years are going on.
Yeah.
Wow. I actually didn't know that.
Well, there you go.
Or did I?
I'm not sure.
So when you walked in for an interview and JK walks out and he's like, boom, John, and you were like, hey, what's up? I'm Ryan. It's kind of like Anakin meeting,
Yeah, I was even smaller back then.
Qui-Gon Jinn.
And he might have been even bigger.
What's a good John Kane story? I guess, you know what? Let's get crazy here. What's a good John Kane story?
Let's keep it
PG because I want to get fired.
Yeah. So okay.
If I did get fired, by the way, I'd want to get fired by John Kane. I'm just throwing that out there.
Right. Okay. Well, let's see what happens.
Personal growth getting fired, and I'd feel better about myself. Okay.
Let's see what happens.
John Kane, what do you got?
By the way, the interview itself, I was sitting so close to the desk and so close to him. I actually was sitting, and I looked just like you the entire time to this massive human. But probably just, to show John Kane's intensity, we all know him as the fun teddy bear now, but back as a DM, first year DM, he was pretty intense. And we had this, I guess this was probably our second summer. We had this room for meetings, and we had all of the, we didn't print stuff back then. You drew all the posters by hand on like flimsy poster board and all that. And we had, this thing was decked out, and we went there to have a meeting, and they didn't know that was our room. So somebody cleaned everything out. So we went into this empty room, and without even thinking, John ran out the door, up the steps. I barely caught him halfway down the parking lot, and he jumped in the dumpster to find these paper poster board, handwritten, and I couldn't. I mean, that was intensity. That was
How long
John.
did you know him at this point?
What's that?
How long did you know him at this point?
I was probably our second summer.
Okay.
No, maybe third. So I knew him pretty well.
You got a couple miles.
Yeah.
So hand-drawn signs. All I can think of is this on the front of your interview door, and it's like,
yeah,
come in.
That actually is better than John Kane's handwriting. So, so we would hire receptionists. We'd have a receptionist make them all.
Now John walks up with his present, gives you a hug, his presents, and he's like, "Hey, what can I do for you?" Back in the day, though, raw, untamed Kane. He's got like a broadsword.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I've seen
J.K. Earl Kelly. You got a pretty cool little background. Like, who else did you work with? Anybody else?
Tom Cannon, Al DiNardo. Check this out. In New England, when I moved here, I inherited a young Kyle Freeman, who was 18 years old, and a young Mike Monroe. A lot of people don't know this. Mike Monroe, when he was at Boston College, was my assistant manager. So I was with Mike from the beginning of his management career, all through district until he was a DVC.
You got a pretty good laundry list there.
Yeah, thank you.
I was able to actually work with Sarah Hanna. Do you remember that name?
Sounds familiar, actually.
Sarah Hanna?
Yeah.
I made it up because you were supposed to say, no, I don't know who that is. I'm like, yeah, nobody ever will because.
Dude, my division has launched 40,000 people. And so I probably do know a Sarah Hanna. Just so I'm taken with my integrity.
Awesome. So far, so good. How many times have you at President's Banquet?
5.
And what's a cool fact about your President's Banquets? You said a cool fact when we were chatting in passing.
4 in a row now, but my first was in 1998. So I have maybe I've hit 6. I don't even know, but
yeah,
they span 2 decades.
So 98, you've hit some in the 2000 to 2010 range.
Oh yeah, so it was 2 and then 4. Yeah, so 6.
So 3 within 3 decades. Like you've hit 1 in per decade.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah.
Back in the day, you used to ride a horse and buggy to our appointments.
That's right.
Sorry, stupid. Currently, though, a fun note is that you are number 4 in DVMs in Vector East for President's Banquet and had just hit President's Banquet. I believe you're at like 108 range. So congratulations. And currently number 6 in Cutco DVM world total.
Yeah.
So congrats on making it already in September, October 10th.
Yeah. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, let's jump into it. I feel like we've got a lot to give, and there's no running clock except there's no running clock here, so you're not under the gun. But let's give some goods. What does a Ryan Trembler wish he knew? Where has been some of your biggest transformations from working? I mean, 1993. That's amazing. What are some of the things you wish you would have known? What are some things you've learned along the way that you pass on to our future?
So speaking of DM in 97, I'd say three things come to mind. One is, my first fall, I was trying to make it like the summer. And what I wish I would have known that fall is that it doesn't have to be exactly like the summer. The meetings don't have to be as big. The recruiting classes don't have to be as big. The trainings don't have to be as big to make it great, to be profitable, to be engaging, to allow you to grow, allow you to build. I kind of figured that out in my second fall, which was my first P banquet, and I really tried to kind of enjoy the differences of the fall versus summer versus January versus the spring campaign, and I really appreciate the differences now. I wish I would have known that. The second thing is I wish I would have known that great people can come in any interview at any time, any size training. I was thinking about this. It was this morning even when I knew I was going to be sitting down with you, and I realized that so many of my top reps started actually in the Dodge summer. So Matt Foss is a name that DMs would know nationally. He's worked in 3 regions now, and he's at 1.5 plus million in sales. Started in a 2-person launch in the first week of March. My current top rep is at 200. Top new reps at 250,000 in the past 2.5 years. Started April 1st, and when I was newer, I know I just didn't do as good of a job with those 2-person interviews, 3-person interviews. Definitely didn't do a great job with the 2-person trainings. The 1-person training that ideally you don't have, but just sometimes you do. And so I know I could have built it a lot quicker if I knew that earlier. And then the third is learning how to drive sales during this time of the year, which is some things are similar, like the expectations and getting goals and helping people hit it. But there's also kind of a different way to go about it in regards to PDI and the conversations you have and so forth. And it took me a little time to kind of figure that out.
Yeah.
Something that we're working on now with my Dom.
I love it. And this has come up on a few calls of just, hey, you don't have to have the summer. Like, it's having an expectation of yourself, but because 3 people walk in your door for an interview, it's not like that big of a deal. Now, did you have 7 people set for the interview, or did you have 33 people set for the interview? Because that might be the bigger of the deals. But it can't just be about the quantity of people in front of you. I love that. There were some times that I loved the intimate groups of 2 to 3, and then other times where I was like, man, I'm not utilizing my time properly. But like you said, some of the greatest people came from those smaller intimate groups. It's like, I remember picking up my phone, and JK Maximus just said hi. So, yes, pause. Okay, back. And I would pick up my notes. I don't know if you've ever done this though. Like, you get in the summer mode, and then you pick up your notes in the fall because you got 3 people in front of you. You're not afraid of messing up, and then you're reading through your notes, and you're like, "This is good stuff. Like, I should probably follow this more." Have you ever done that before?
Yeah, maybe.
In some capacity, yeah. But it slows down. You can connect to people better. So not pushing off that 2 or 3 person interview or the 1-person interview when you don't want to do it. When you say learn how to drive sales and expectations and goals, can you talk about that for a second? As far as like what would be your main thing that you've done different from the summer to the fall that's had great success?
So we've been working a lot with
meetings, PCs. It could be any one of those 3.
Sometimes it's tough with the PCs, depending on how far they are from the office and so forth. So a lot of what I work with my staff on now is just high level PDI and what that looks like during this time of the year. And to me, I think during push weeks we do a certain level of PDI, but then in the middle of October, there are definitely people that don't do the same level of intensity. And what I think is any conversation can really change somebody's career. It doesn't matter to them what the calendar, what the date is.
Yeah.
And so the idea of not just doing PDI because you're supposed to or it's in the schedule, but doing it like with a purpose, like you're building something and you're really trying to impact people. So that mentality is number one. And sometimes I'll just for my TLA, I'll have them for 40 minutes. I'll have them just watch me do like PDI with like anybody. Like I don't care, because if I can create one great sale, then that buys me a couple weeks with this rep. And if I have a couple weeks with somebody, I can make them successful and impact that whole month, which gets them here for the campaign and potentially, on my TLA for the future. And so to me, PDI is so important because it drives literally everything else.
Yes.
If you have great PDI, great relationships, they come to meetings, they come to phone jams, or they'll phone from home because you're doing great PDI if they can't make it to the office. So to me, it's a lot about PDI and learning the conversations that get it done during this time of the year.
I love that. The PDI is the palm, and the PDI is what fuels everything else. When you have quality PDI, your PCs get better. You have more influence during your team meetings because you set them up. But without PDI, you just rely on those 1 or 2 meetings per week or 1 or 2 per month. It's just, you're missing the personal daily interaction. And today's technology, by the way, like about 10 years ago running an office, to be able to do FaceTime or Zoom PDI calls, like holding office hours. I got that idea from Shelby Wildgus, like my old professors in college. Like we have office hours. We used to do group conference calls for PDI in push weeks and stuff. I was like, why not apply that in other times of the year? Like PCs now can be a 15-minute Zoom call intimately where they don't have to necessarily come in the office as a student. Not saying they don't ever have to come in, but I get you, man. Just it's more intensity, more intimacy, and that's great. What are your career sales, just out of curiosity? In the years that you've worked with people and trained and managed, what's your CPOs?
It's just over 85 million.
Sick. Now, contrary to popular belief, you live 30 minutes from Boston.
Yes.
Yeah, you're a Cowboys fan?
Cowboys fan.
Who'd you sell your soul to for that one?
They're America's team, dude. Nobody.
America's team. On a personal level, how much did Tom Brady sell his soul for 6 championships and possibly a 7th this year?
So as a Cowboys fan, I can say he's the greatest of all time. So no, nothing. Just hard work, man. Just like you, just like me.
Yeah, true. I actually like Tom Brady. And people are like, how could you like him? It's like, we get to say that we watched him play. Like, when is this going to happen again? So I actually do like and appreciate Brady. I just want to see if you're going to talk trash on him. But you didn't. You held your integrity high.
Yeah, man. There's 2 games this year where I have to worry about the Patriots. That's November 24th and the Super Bowl. The rest of the time, I don't mind watching great people be great.
Yeah. Okay. Act 2.
Oh, man.
Act 2. All right, go on. Okay, now that you've established your level of success of what you wish you've known a little bit more of, and we can go into hours of those topics, but intimacy through PDI drives everything else. You do better PDI, everything else is going to come to play. So, yeah, love it. What are you doing now that is really working for you that you could spread to promote to the newest of people to even a veteran DVM? What are some things that you're doing that's really catching traction?
Well, it's interesting at SLC. There was a lot of mention of talking versus texting, and so this is a philosophy that I have as well. That I think there's a place for text, but what we're really driving is first weekend. We're driving 1 or 2 really good conversations.
First weekend, you said?
First weekend, yeah. And so coming right out of training, if you set it up that they can text, as their check-in, they just literally will never talk to you on the phone.
Yeah.
And there's so much pre-framing for success that happens on the first PDI call, the second PDI call. And so, we launch on Fridays, and Saturday morning for us is one of the key PDIs of the week, where it's all of the, guys calling in, gals calling in after their first appointments. And some of them do Friday night, but most of them do like one Friday night. And so their first big day is Saturday, and getting, 1 or 2 really good conversations that day. We can text a little Sunday once we've kind of established that contact, but, so that's one thing. And that's a little old school. But
talking to people on the phone is old school.
We don't get them to AT though. We can't really do much with them. So, that helping them kind of see the positives in their first couple demos, and the future, if they're great, and how big they can be and tied into AT and all that stuff. We teach on the, second PDI call. It's a simple question. Hey, John, now that you've gone through training and you've done your first 4 or 5 appointments, what are you most excited to gain from the position as far as skill-wise, experience, all of that? And regardless of what they've sold, we get them to start talking about, what they're learning, what they want to learn. And I really think it helps them step back to whatever that early result was, good, bad, ugly, whatever, indifferent. And then I teach my guys to tie that into how this is going to impact their career, which if you ran their training, you would know what that was. And and wait till you see, as you work here over the next couple weeks, even how much, more confident you're going to be, and how that's going to impact your career. And then, long term, I'm just really excited for you to have that development working here. And so even though with top reps, you can make it more about sales, I think that always coming back to the long term and what they're gaining, that is a way to kind of lock people in. A second thing I think that's important first weekend is, this generation that we're dealing with is super hard on themselves, and helping them see that they're on track wherever they are, and we're all good at the conversation if somebody's doing great and they're on track for, big things. I think we all know that, but just showing people that would say they're not doing as well, that, hey, you're on track. The best way to do that is through stories of great people that started like they did. And I'm constantly sharing stories that relate to what they've done, of somebody great started. Hey, let me tell you a story about so-and-so, who you saw in training, who's at like $50,000 in sales. Let me tell you about their first couple demos. And I'm always connecting, whatever their result was to somebody in the organization that's doing well.
Wow, man. That's the call right there. The first part's great, but I love how you're like texting versus teaching in person. And I didn't like the text. Texting's more of like a casual. And when I switched over because some of the top managers were like, oh, I just text my people. I'm like, I thought that'd be easier. And the funny thing is that in the career, when I said, hey, that might be easier, and I've done those things, it's when I experienced some pretty hard negative results. When I thought to myself, that's actually going to be pretty challenging to implement, I got to really work at this. Those are usually things that kind of lift the things up, right?
Yeah.
And I know there's a happy medium in between, but there's a place for text. I would never text somebody when I was in my groove. I would never text somebody pre-advanced training, maybe even during their fast start, other than like the two top people. Hey, I'm going to let you know that we can text. And that's to like the top 20%. But as a general rule of thumb, I hate when people text me to quit. I hate when people text me and saying they can't make advanced training. I ask the question, where did that become okay? To text you, your manager, the district owner, your time is the most important thing, right? To text you saying they can't make an event. They haven't established a relationship or like understanding of how to do that. So you're enabling them to do this. And I love those conversations, because the person goes from, I'm doing what I was told, to, wow, maybe that's not the best method. And to have you say that, Ryan, is through the roof, because you've got to earn the right to text. You've got to earn the right to build rapport via text. Otherwise, up until that point, you got to make some weight here.
Yeah, generally during this time of the year, I only text when they're not working that day. So I'll text, hey, I know you're studying today, so I don't want to interrupt, but bam, and I'll just send them a little love.
The appreciation text. Like, you're not asking you. They pick up their phone and they're like, hey, I hope you're studying well today. I know you're not. I just want to let you know I appreciate you. And they're like, what's your angle? It's like, it's people helping people, right?
Yeah.
I love this when you said people stick around, and it caught me thinking, like, people will sell because Cutco is pretty easy to sell, right? The appointments are maybe challenging to get to set up the appointment and whatnot. But when you're selling Cutco and you're texting, people have a big fast start. They're going to have a big couple of weekends. They're going to have a big pop. But what keeps them on from there is that relationship. It's like the curiosity, the sometimes the difficulty a little bit to be like, hey, I wonder what my manager's doing. When you have full access to your manager in your first weekend and you made $400 and you are the creation of creators, right? It's like, okay, I'm done. I move on. I've got this. This is in the bag. But you keep them guessing a little bit. You keep them leading a little bit, not manipulating, but you keep them guessing a little bit. They're going to stick around because of the relationship, right? They're going to sell because it's pretty easy to do. The product's awesome, but they're going to stick around because of that relationship.
Yeah, for sure.
That's great, man. The stories are powerful too. Like, they don't need to know John Kane or Earl Kelly to stick around. Like, you could say John Kane and to a new person, there's no difference between John Kane and Trent Booth or anybody, to to an assistant manager in her office. In fact, the assistant manager in the office that's been around for 3 months has more influence than our president because they're new and they're right there in front of them. So, oh my gosh, and Sarah Hannah, by the way, Sarah Hannah, boom, 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 and they have no idea who Sarah is, but it's a real person and it's convicted and it, hey, if somebody else did it, I can do it. This is great, man. How do you be so good?
10,000 hours times 4 of directed and deliberate practice. Now it's just being engaged. I love what we do for people, but I also love pushing myself to be the best at everything I can get my hands on. So, I just talk to great people, steal, improve, over and over again, repeat.
Engage with people. What's a funny Mike Monroe story as we wrap up here? Mike Monroe, go.
Oh boy. PG or?
How about this? I'm a facilitator.
Well,
whatever you say is on you. All I can say is tell me a funny story. I got to hang out with Mike at SOC, and we sat next to one another, and like in a 30-minute time frame, we were in tears laughing, and we both had light bulb ideas, and then we connected like intimately with like shared your partner. So it's just, that's why I love working with Mike. He's awesome.
Fantastic.
But tell me a funny story. Go.
I can just say that he has developed interpersonal skills since he's in that area as a product of Vector. He's always been the smartest guy in the room. But I remember the first prep I ran for him, like it was yesterday, the first TLA that I ran that he was at. So he wasn't even a branch yet. It was the rep from the summer before, and I took over his TLA in January. And I still remember this like it was yesterday, and he was like intensely staring during a break, and he goes, if there was a formula, and it was this awkward, deep voice.
There was
a formula to run an office, I'd be really good at this. And I was like, okay. Now,
is he dead serious too?
Yeah. And then he went on to do 135 grand, that summer, and 240 the next summer or something.
If there was a formula to learn how to run an office. Oh my gosh.
I got a million. We could do 45 minutes of Mike Monroe stories because, good friend of mine, man.
He's one of those guys that when you talk, the smartest guy in the room, like when he's talking, and for the most part, I'm picking up exactly what this guy's putting down. And then he uses these ridiculously like thesaurus type words. And I just black out. I start like, I'm kind of nodding and my face is like, what does that mean? I look it up later and it's like easy, the synonym easy. I'm like, dude, why not just say easy? But that's his mind. I don't think he's doing that to try to sound educated. He just thinks on another level like that.
Yeah.
Okay.
He taught me how to use ironical properly.
Is that a word?
Versus ironic. Yeah. See, that's the point. Yep.
That's gonna be call number 2. Dude, we should do a call with Mike and just ask how many words that he knows that the average human doesn't. And you judge it and it's like, no, we know that word. But what can you do?
Yeah.
Dude, as we wrap up here, the last 30 seconds, what's your sign off before we do something fun at the end? What's your sign off of last things to tell our people? Give a little bit of love, give a little perception to where they're at, give some reality of where you're from, a little love. What would the RT words be? RT3.
I would just say, we are building 2020 right now. But there's still plenty of time here in October and this fall to build an exciting organization for this fall. And that exciting organization will certainly impact 2020. And so to me, they're not separate at all. To me.
Oh.
To me.
Boom! Shakalaka.
All the same.
Dude, I started asking Ryan like questions like, "Hey Ryan, what's your sign off to ode of love?" And I was waiting for JK to pop on. So
this is the special moment, the bonus round of questions. Are you ready?
So Johnny, I did. So by the way, Ryan, building 2020 now. Rah rah, love your people. What's a really important part about this call is that for the first time ever, we have John Kane the original manager of Mr. Trembler, asking the lightning round of fun questions. Never been done before. Has never been done before. I can't wait. Okay, so we know how this works, right? Ryan, you can say pass or answer.
He's going to get them all. He's good.
And just so you know, we've got a bonus treat at the end. So once the time goes out, we got a bonus treat. So I've also got the questions. I will be judging.
What are the 3 main ingredients of chicken noodle soup?
Chicken, noodles, and carrots. We put a lot of carrots in
How many senses does a human have?
5.
What is your birthday?
April 19th.
In baseball, what is the letter associated with a strikeout?
K.
Capital of Massachusetts.
Boston.
How much did Brady get for his soul that he definitely sold?
About half.
How many Super Bowls did the Cowboys win?
5.
What is glass made from?
Sand.
How many weeks in a year?
52.
Best quote from the Jerry Maguire movie.
You had me at hello.
That's not bad. And for the bonus one, the last
$10 iTunes, $10 we're giving him a $10.
We're breaking the budget for $10. Go ahead.
What has hands but does not clap?
A clock.
Get out of town!
Nice job.
Are you serious?
So proud of you. Did a great job there.
Okay, real quick. What are the 3 ingredients for chicken noodle soup? Chicken, noodle, and carrots.
We put carrots in our
broth. You gotta have broth.
No, we have more carrots and broth in our current.
Hey, dude, that's how they do it in Boston. They're chunky. It's chunky.
All right, I forgot. You wicked hot wickers over there. All right.
Yeah.
Census 5. April 18th is your birthday. I thought it was the 19th.
No, I said 19th. You can.
I don't know, man. We'll have to go back and check tape. But
tapes on that. Yep.
Boston is not the capital.
What?
Boston's not the capital. It's Washington, D.C.
Massachusetts?
Yep.
Yeah. All right. Cool. Yeah, you got to work on that, right?
How much did Brady sell for a soul? You stuttered.
About half of what Wentz did.
Oh, dude,
that's what I was trying to say.
He's just been immediately disqualified from all questions. That was a nice.
Send him a $9 gift card for iTunes. $9.
He gets an 8. I think we're going 8.
Okay. Super Bowls is 5 for the Cowboys. Sand, it makes glass. The one I can't accept is the weeks in a year, and technically it's 52.1429. So.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay.
And the human head weighs 8 pounds is the one quote. Show me the money, but I also had on here. You had me at hello.
Nice job.
But the fact of getting the clock which has hands but doesn't clap as a clock, I mean, we're going to clap for you. And I'm not a clock. Thank you for making this happen. Thank you for this time. I mean, the special appearance from your district manager, Mr. Kane, who, by the way, was so passionate about posters. I heard you jumped into a dumpster to get the poster retrieval.
Dude, there's a lot of stories. We're not going to get into them now. It's work. Bye-bye.
Gentlemen, it's been an honor and a privilege. And that's it. He comes and he goes. He is just
busy guy.
He's just like, all right. Hey, thank you. I'm going to begin the call I'm going to end the call like I began the call, and it's I love you.
I love you too, John.
Oh, no. Don't make it weird. I'm sorry I put you on the spot. I'm going to text later. Dude, that was uncomfortable. I can't believe you did that to me. You made me say I love you on live television. Dude, we have raised the bar from 1.9 million to 22 million people. We literally have increased by 13 million people due to you, and I appreciate you more than you know. That's why I cut my hair like you.
Yeah.
This is a choice.
Me, same here.
Hey, thank you so much.
Thank you. This is awesome.
Can you do this?